What's up, everybody? So it has been a hot minute since I've actually had the time to make a video and do a video. It's been coming up on almost 2 years, to be honest, but a lot has happened in those last 2 years. We'll talk a little bit about that, but we're also going to talk about things that are going on in the yard and some of the projects that I've been working on during that time. As you can see, the yard's not looking too bad, doing fairly well. I have done a couple renovations on it over the last couple of years, but some of the things that have changed in life as it goes about is about a year ago I retired.
Yes! That's awesome!
Which has been nice. I don't answer to anybody other than my at-home boss.
What'd you just say?
And started a little side business that keeps me fairly busy. But we'll get into that maybe in a future video. But the subject of today's video is something that I have been struggling with for a very long time. Since I've lived here in Utah, in the city that I live in, we've had nothing but problems with water pressure, all sorts of issues with that. The biggest one being the pressure. Now, I've done some videos in the past where I tried to remedy some situations as far as changing from a 3/4 supply to a 1 inch so that it matched the rest of my system, because my system is entirely 1 inch, and hoping that that extra volume might help, and it has to an extent. But even with that, I still could not get what I needed out of my system the way it currently was. I've added heads, shifted heads, and no matter what happened, I still was having issues with pressure. And so I made the decision to install a pump that helps keep the pressure regulated at the area that I needed, at the range that I needed in, so that they all run efficiently and effectively. But let's go into that. Okay, so one of the things we're going to do is we're going to be digging out a hole here. We might have to move this shrub back just a little bit, but we're going to put the pump here. We're going to also redo this valve box manifold because it is a absolute and utter mess. And as you can see, I've got mud coming up through because this was not done the correct way, or what I feel is the correct way.
Sloppy! Run it again, sloppy, for Christ's sake!
And then all of these are going to be reset, redone. We might be bringing this valve a little bit closer so everything will fit, because this is usually set up for a 4-valve manifold, not 5, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and these two are both shoved right up against the wall of the valve box. But we're going to undo all this, reset it, and get it set to where it's a little bit more functional. Okay, so it's the next day. I just want to go over some things because now I've had to change the entire way I'm getting this done, because I assumed that the people that installed my system would have done it with some sort of common sense.
Well, you know what they say, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me.
But there I go thinking that people think with their heads. So here's some things, and you may not be able to see this, but we'll try to do it because I haven't unburied it yet. My original thought was that the main line would have come up through here, gone in through this end of the manifold, come out, and then gone and branched off. It's fine if it goes to the spigot here, that's okay, but I would have thought that they would have at least done that. That's the more reasonable, sensible thing to do. When I started digging, this is the only line, the lateral line that comes in from, or that even would feed the main for the water, right off here, and it goes like this, and it goes across. I have not been able to find it, but then I began to remember. So I was thinking back to last year when I reset all my sprinklers, that when I went across and I dug down really deep, there happened to be two lines on the east side of the yard, which I didn't make any sense to me as to why there would be two lines on the farthest area away. I would have expected one that would have fed the sprinkler lines, and that'd have been it. It is my assumption that that is the main line coming off, and it wraps to the back, and then they literally spurred off somewhere over here and teed it into this. That's one way to do it, but I don't believe that it's the right way to do it. I think that it's lazy. I think that it leaves it can create a lot of problems, just like right now. I should have, if they had done it in what I consider to be the right way, they would have brought the main line in. Now all I had to have done is done a little bit of work right here to tie into the main water line, but now I've got to dig all this out like I was going to do anyway, but now I've got to run all this, I've got to trace this pipe all the way back to see where it ties into, because whatever it ties into is my main water line that's feeding the entire system. That's going to be a lot of work. So I went and rented a sod cutter, and I'm going to cut the sod from here all the way to the other side of the all the way to the other side of the yard. I'm going to slowly take it out by pieces as I track back, and there's nothing that guarantees that I'm going to be able to go all the way back and find it. All it takes is for that pipe to veer off left or right from the straight line that I'm going, and now I've got to cut the sod that way and track the pipe back that direction. So it all boils down to whoever laid this out, in my personal opinion.
Sir, if I may venture an opinion.
I'm not really interested in your opinion, 3PO.
Wouldn't be able to manage their way out of a wet paper sack.
You idiots! These are not them. You've captured their stunt doubles!
Now, if you haven't been able to tell, I'm a little frustrated because I just don't understand crappy sprinkler installations. I never have, and I never will. It is just ludicrous to me the way that this was done.
Prepare ship for light speed. No, light speed is too slow. Light speed too slow? Yes, we're gonna have to go right to ludicrous speed.
Ludicrous speed? Sir, we've never gone that fast before. I don't know if the ship can take it.
What's the matter, Colonel Sanders?
If I had had a little bit more knowledge and probably a little bit more confidence in myself 6-7 years ago, I would have installed this myself, and it would have been in a lot better shape, laid out a lot better, and I wouldn't have to dig up a manifold and redo that because I wouldn't have put 5 valves in a 4-valve box. So just a bunch of stuff that didn't need to be done. But it's all in the past. Let's get going. Let's get it done. Okay guys, so I just got done griping about how everybody's doing everything. For some reason it seems like everybody does everything half-baked and half done.
Did you ever sit back with a $20 bill on weed?
I've got Trent here, my buddy that helped me fix my ugly lawn 2022. He's come over here to help me, come all the way from a very distant far land. And so he's come, and we've run into a problem. This is not, this line, which runs here, it comes underneath, I've seen it, Then it crisscrosses with some other lateral line, which I do not know which one that one goes to, but I have tracked it. It's come right here, and this is the line I'm trying to track. Well, instead of going back straight like a normal human being, if you're going to tee into something, should be on a fairly straight line, now it curves this way. So all of this that I sod cut, it's going to stay there, and it's not coming up because there's no reason to bring it up, because we are starting to head this way. And Trent's an old farmer, and he seems to think that this is going to be our line. So we're going to sod cut right where these flags are, and we're going to see how close he gets. All right, guys, we lucked out. We were partly down that stretch, and yes, it did start to turn, but good news. Of course, there's the main. You can see just a little bit of it. It's got a little bit of dirt of it, but then it tracks down under. And then guess what? Here's what I've been looking for.
That they don't know what the they're doing. Do you understand that?
This is the main line coming from the turn on, turn off. This is the line that then tees off and runs to the second manifold and the 3 valves that are on the south side of the house.
Did that go the way you thought it was going to go? Nope.
And then this is the one that runs to the manifold that I just got done undigging. So what we're going to do, just for the sake of time, is we're going to cut this one. I'm going to cut all this stuff off. I'm going to then put another piece of pipe and a 1-inch plug right here, and I'm basically just going to cap that, in essence. Then I'm going to put in an elbow and elbow a new line in so that it runs to the manifold, and then when it hits that and loops back out, then it runs here and goes back out to the other manifold on the south side of the house. But definitely good news, because I was afraid we were gonna have to dig this entire yard up, which we've dug up some of it, but I'll take what we've got. So definitely a win. All right, so we've dug all this up, and I've got all the wires tagged as to where they go. The other set's right there that comes out of the house to the box, and then these are all pretty much excavated. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually replace these valves. I'm going to go with the Hunter PGV 101s, and so I'll thread these out, but then I'm also going to raise it just a little bit because this is awfully low. It's probably about 3 inches lower than it needs to be, but I'm going to be raising it, and so the valves will end up being about like this, and the box will be about like this. Hey guys, so just a quick voiceover on this. I lost all the audio on the recording. The mic was damaged that bad. I'm sitting here telling you a little bit about what we're doing here with this box. With the box, I'm telling you that we've put a paver stone down on the bottom. We've also put 2 threaded rods on the side to show that we are going to be inserting a bracket plate to be able to hold the pump in place. That having been said, this would be a good time to talk about why I decided to put a box in the ground and place the pump in the ground. There's a couple reasons. I usually have a lot of my nephews come over, and I didn't want any kids messing with it. Plus, and later on in the video, you'll also hear the amount of sound that pump makes, and it's fairly loud. I open up the box, let you hear what it sounds like, but overall, when the box is enclosed and the lid's on top, pump really doesn't sound too bad. But those are some of the main reasons that I decided to put the pump in the ground and go that direction. I apologize again for the lack of audio and my sweaty, nasty shirt, but I get pretty dirty when I'm working. Okay, so we've got a couple things done. Now that this is a 3-foot hole, it's 3 feet from just below the stone that's in there, the paving stone that we're going to use to set the pump on, to here. It's 36 inches to the top of this landscape curbing. So now, then this will all get a little bit of dirt thrown in there as extra and whatnot. But I cleaned it out, I pulled the box out and shaved off the edges just a little bit so that I could get my fabric down in to do my my wrap of the box. Just something I like to do to make sure that it gets or just a little bit less debris has the ability to get into the box. I like to have a nice clean box. Don't like
That's what she said.
I don't get debris, I don't get mud. Of course, this isn't finished, but this I would never leave it like this because I don't like mud there. I like to put a little gravel down. Of course, I'll do that. And just got a couple more things to do here because the manifold is now in. Now, of course, we have not pressure tested any of it, so, and that is kind of the tell of the tape. That's why you don't get too far ahead of yourself, because you don't know if these are leaking. Where we clamped, put them in, you don't know if these are all watertight and whatnot. So once we get it all hooked up, then it's the cross the fingers moment and make sure that everything works. And then once you know everything's watertight, then you put all the finishing touches on it. But this is the actual main feed line now that's been plumbed in. It's going to get moved over here, and I'm going to be placing the check valve right above it, and so there'll be a box right there, and then this is going to get dug out just a little bit. I got to make sure I don't get any dirt into that fitting there, and I'm going to dig it down, and then I'm just going to come in, elbow off, and it's going to move like that. It was the only way I could do it to make it really nice and have the valves where I needed them, so I didn't have to reach my arm all the way down in, and it gave me plenty of room to work it. So other than that, not too bad. Just got to get that hooked up and get done, and then we'll put the box in, we'll burrito wrap it, and get it prepared to receive the feed line, the input, and it's going to actually come up and down, and the way that the pump's going to sit is it's going to come in like so. Then what we're going to do is then we'll be once you get the pump, then it comes through the pump, and the actual outlet is the top fitting, and then it's going to shoot out and push and connect into here. And then when this is all tightened up, then everything should flow together. When that's done, before I even put before I do all that, before I put the pump in and all that kind of stuff, I want to make sure that everything's working. So I'm actually going to build a bypass lines so I can connect everything, but make sure that everything is watertight, and run the pump out and away. I'll probably take it up here and put it up here just above onto the side of the garage, but run the pipes, bypass pipes, to where I can pressure test everything, make sure everything's watertight even when the pump is on, before I start putting everything in and finishing the job. So that's what we're looking at doing now. All right, now that we've had the pump in for a little while, let's talk about some of the problems that we've come across since it's been in, so that my failures don't become your failures if you decide to put one in. So over the last little bit, we have had some issues with the pump in that we were using the PVC Schedule 80 action manifold quick connect fittings, and those are great, but in this particular circumstance, what happens is that when that pump operates, it vibrates a little bit, and with vibration can come friction, and with friction comes heat, and it would soften the threads on those particular fittings, and they would literally soften to the point to where they would shear completely out. And when that would happen, you'd have a catastrophic failure. Water would get everywhere. Now, when the water would get everywhere, the first thought that I had is that, well, it's gonna short the pump. Well, luckily I had a GCFI switch put in.
That's correct.
Correct.
Thank you. Hey, moms, let's break out the rubber pillowcases tonight. Little pricks are going to be counting tears, not sheep.
Who's next? Switch put in that is powered by, and the second any water comes in contact with anything electrical, it trips the breaker. And in actuality, it actually saves the pump so that that's not constantly running. But the most important thing is that if there were to be a failure of the pump and there's water that gets out of the box and into the yard, and you've got water just swamped out into your yard, if that happens, there isn't electrical current running through that water and people are safe, and that's the most important thing. So back to the fittings. What I found, and each time I'd have a failure, I'd replace it with brass. The reason I went to brass is that brass holds up a little bit better with heat. It will conduct some heat, but it won't soften up like that PVC would.
You're getting soft, brother. Soft and weak.
I'm not a real fan of galvanized in certain circumstances, and in this particular circumstance, there was no way I was going to use galvanized. So each time I'd have a failure, I'd put a new piece of brass on and figure, oh, well, that'll do it. And eventually it did. And since our last issue, we haven't had any issues at all. It's been in there, it's been running great. But let's go out, let's take a look at it, and let's see how the final product actually looks like. Okay guys, let's take a look at how everything looks now. Pump's in, it's been running. Haven't had any real issues in the past 2 months. And let's look at how everything's healed up. You can see all of that turf that was tore up is all completely re-healed. Let's take a look at the manifold box here. Of course, the directional manifold or check valve is right here. You got your manifolds here. You got all 5 that are in there. Everything looks nice and tight. No issues. And then we've got the pump itself. It is, looks like we've got a few cobwebs in there. I'll have to spray for some spiders. But you can see that this is powered by this power cord and the cross beam that is held to lock it in place so that it doesn't shake or shimmy when the pump runs. No issues there. I mean, that thing isn't going anywhere. And all you have to do is simply undo those bolts and unthread the nuts, and then unthread each of the fittings here and right there, and everything will come out nice and easy. All right guys, I figured you'd like to see and hear what the pump sounds like when it runs. So it's a little bit later in the day and I'm able to start this up. I'm going to bring us in just a little bit closer, and then I'm going to turn on the pump and you can hear what it sounds like when it's running. Hey, thanks for watching. Please hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for any notifications on any future videos being posted. Also, like, share with your friends, and please comment down below. It really helps. And we'll see you in the next one.